I'm Brandon Smith, and I'm the workplace therapist. My entire purpose and passion in life is one singular thing, and that's to help you live a life free from dysfunction. And let's be honest, folks, dysfunction is everywhere. Our bosses, our coworkers, our neighbors, even that grumpy barista that pours your coffee. And sometimes, that dysfunction stares back at us in the face when we're getting ready in the mornings and we see ourselves in the mirror. Well, at the end of the day, life and work should not have to suck. The purpose of this show is to help you overcome those roadblocks in your life to help you realize the life you've always wanted. This is the Brandon Smith Show. I am your host, Brandon Smith, and the entire purpose of this show is one singular thing, and that is to help you live a life a little more free from dysfunction and that much more awesome. And I'm trying so hard to open this show, and Whitney is distracting me. I have one of my co-producers, Whitney Mendoza, with our topics today when we talk about leadership therapy. And she's, is it primping? What are you doing with your hair?
Fixing my glasses.
Oh, you're fixing your glasses. I noticed you're wearing glasses. Why you got glasses on today?
I was trying to be as cool as Abigail Smith. Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed.
Isaac said hashtag fail, but no hashtag.
Yeah, Isaac, our other
blessed.
producer, is in the other room, and he said hashtag fail. Hashtag fail.
I don't think it's working.
Oh, those glasses are looking pretty fine.
Oh, thank you.
I think they're pretty lit.
Although
I'm not supposed to say that.
Oh, that's true. You are lit. Sorry you can't see his shoes.
For our topic today, we are going to be talking about something all of us, I was about to say everyone, but all of us can relate to, and that is dysfunctional coworkers.
Ugh.
I'd like to say that we've never encountered that before, but I know every single person listening to this has just pictured a person in their mind or people in their mind that have absolutely driven them crazy in their career. Cringe. Hashtag cringe. So, Whitney, so many places we can go with this thing. What do you think? When you think of dysfunctional coworkers, what comes to mind for you? Got any good stories for us?
I do. That may take up the whole first segment, though.
I'm all about that.
You may not want to hear them.
You have to speak louder on the mic, Whitney.
Oh God, really? Am I breaking?
Yeah,
I thought I knew what to do by now.
Oh, so good.
Probably. I've just always been. Can we say nerdy? Am I allowed to call myself nerdy? I've always kind of been kind of a nerd, Brandon. I know that may be hard to believe. But I've always just been very productive and on it and like scheduled and write everything down. And
I like that.
Okay, there's a lot of employees out there who do not do that.
Oh, this is where we're going. I see.
Mm-hmm. Like if I have to repeatedly ask you to do something, I get a little bit agitated.
Yeah, you're for our listeners that can't see the show.
Sorry.
Whitney's actually flinching. She like it's kind of like a nervous twitch, almost like it's not good. It did not look good.
You know what? Let me just take this moment. If you can't see the show, you need to, not while you're driving. If you're listening while you're driving, don't do this. Later, Facebook.com/Brandon Smith WPT. Watch it. It's amazing.
Well, I will agree with that.
Okay. I'm just saying, I think for me, the worst type of employee is just one that won't do their job. That bugs me because you have a lot of people that are working hard.
Would you call them slackers?
That's a pretty good word. Hashtag slacker.
Okay, so slacker. We've got our first one, the slacker. Mm-hmm. So this is a person that is kind of other geeky ways we can also call this person in addition to slacker. We might call them a C player. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The person that is not meeting expectations, underperforming.
Do you know why it bugs me? And prove me if I'm wrong. I think this is one of the easiest types to pass by on the boss. Like you can get away with doing nothing for quite some time. You can be sneaky about it.
If you have other good traits, like you're a charmer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or you could find other ways to kind of cover it up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But people who are close to you might catch on to it a
Right.
lot quicker.
Your other coworkers will.
They see it. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm with you. I think slacker is a good one. Okay, I've got one
Right.
for you.
I kind of felt that. Yeah. Give it to me.
Okay. This is a tricky one. Okay.
Ooh. Okay.
Here comes. We're going to go the other side of that. How about the person who is a rock star performer? Okay, so does a great job at what they do. Maybe never makes a mistake,
Okay.
but has a horrible attitude. Like you don't like this person. They don't play well with others. They throw elbows, but they're really, really good at what they do. What about that? Take that, Whitney. What do you think?
Because that's probably me.
Oh.
I'm just messing. I'm just messing.
Oh my goodness.
Hashtag blessed. No, I don't know, Brandon, because those people, put them in a room and let them do their work. Just make sure they're not interacting with clients.
But they're not, they can be good with clients, but they're not good team players.
Oh, well, that may be an issue.
So they're not going to help you out. They're not going to give you any information you need. And they're going to take credit. They're just kind of solo contributors. And so if you're on a team, these can be not good people to play with. I got another one.
Uh-oh, I felt it coming.
The backstabber.
Oh, so they
The backstabber.
think they're good workers and have good attitude, but in reality,
They may not even think any of that. They've just decided the way they're going to get ahead is by stabbing you in the back.
oh wow,
Because if there's less competition, and they're the only one standing, then they're #winning. I'm violating so many of my daughter's rules right now, by the way. If you haven't seen the show on generational differences in communication, check that show out.
I'm not even sure
#plug.
I'm doing that good of a job. I tried to like incorporate some in there, but
Can I give one? It's here, producer Isaac and producer Luis. #producers.
#producers.
What about the ones that are like a clique, and the listeners can hear me? Sort of like the cliques that don't.
so they band together against the
Yeah.
others.
Me-
Mm.
You know what we call those? Often, it's not always like this, but I commonly hear this group referred to as the Mean Girls.
Ooh. Do they wear pink on Wednesdays?
I don't know.
Sorry.
Not to say you can't have this happen with men, but then it's more like a boys' club or a fraternity. Or I heard one person describe it this week to me. They described it as a bro culture when you have that happening with men. But it's not quite the same dynamic as when you have women do it.
Mm-hmm,
Then it becomes referred to as mean girls. And I've heard that be described as vicious, vicious attacks. I don't know if you've ever
I have seen
that.
I've
Isaac,
seen
you've
it.
seen it?
The boys' club and the girls' club and the Mean Girls. Yep.
Yeah,
Both of them.
I've seen the Mean Girls.
And it's not nice. I mean, it's hard to work with, and because as a neutral, and I think I am an implementer in the sense of like I like to keep peace.
Yeah.
It takes me a lot for me to get upset,
Mhm,
and then but when I work with those kind of people, it's like really hard because you don't know how to go through that line. You know, sort of like you're trying to please them and then please the other side. So it's hard working with those.
And I think what's also different about those two groups is when it's a boys' club or a bro culture, whatever you want to call it, they don't let in outsiders. So they kind of put up walls. It's kind of this all inside jokes. They don't let in outsiders. What I've seen with the Mean Girls is they're more aggressive. They attack outsiders and kill them. So it's a different kind of dynamic. One is you can't get in. The other one is we're going to eliminate you. So it fits a little bit more into the backstabbing kind of idea.
You know what it sounds like to me?
What?
High school.
Yeah. Everything we're talking about, folks, is high school or middle school or maybe even a little elementary school bullying on the playground. So if we look at developmental psychology, the fundamental underlying principle in developmental psychology is that while we think we're working with adults all day long, we're really working with kids stuck in adult bodies at different ages and stages.
That's probably why the slackers bother me.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I would always work in school and the slacker would want to be on my team. Not even joking.
Yep.
Why would anyone want to be on your team, Whitney? Oh, did I just go there?
#hurt.
I'm horrible.
Hashtag hurt.
I'm horrible, folks. Whitney, I would want to be on your team.
Thanks, Brad.
As long as you weren't eating chips while I was trying to talk.
I don't have it. I have coffee today. Is coffee okay?
You were tapping your coffee cup.
Oh, I was doing that.
Yeah, I think I irritated Whitney.
It's okay. I'm a little bit hurt,
It's
but
all right. It's okay.
okay. So what do we do then? We've got like all these different types. I think we've listed 4 different types. Are there more?
Oh
no.
Endless supply of dysfunctional coworkers.
Can't we all just
We haven't even gotten into the ones that are unmedicated. I mean, that's a whole other party. That can be fun.
That may be another show.
This is a future plug. When we get close to Halloween, I will give you examples of all the scariest coworkers that we work with. And then we'll get into even more definitions and more unmedicated coworkers. Because we get that party too.
We should dress up for that one.
Yeah.
Done.
So in general, it's a good question. What do we do with that when you have a dysfunctional coworker? I think you have to first figure out and identify what's their particular game they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then second, what's that core need that they're trying to meet? Like, what are they trying to get attention? Are they trying for stability? Do they need to be more involved? And try and figure out a way to meet that need to disarm them. I mean, I think the first thing we're trying to do is whatever they're doing that's bothering us, how do we disarm them and stop it? And if we can do it directly, that's going to be our best strategy. But sometimes you have to go to the boss and bring her or him into it.
Is there a point that we know it's time to go to the boss? Like what just maybe generically, what are those steps? Like we figure out what their needs are, and then what do we do step by step?
Generally speaking, regardless of what situation it is, the first thing you have to do is, and this is what no one is going to want to do. Okay, so just listen close because in a minute you're going to dislike me. If you don't already dislike me now. Hopefully you don't. And so what you're going to first have to do is you'll have to have the conversation with them directly. Yeah. So you'll have to go to them. And it doesn't mean you got to put it out on the table, but you're going to actually have to try and build that relationship and get closer to them. And that's not necessarily fun because it's somebody you don't like. Mm-hmm. And so I'm telling you to spend more time with them. Who wants to do that? But that's the first step. And see if you can diffuse it on your own. If you can't, or they continue playing games, then that's when you say, okay, how do I bring in more people or allies in this? And that's when you might have to go to a boss, or you might decide to create your own club of people around you that can support you and protect you. So you don't have the boss, but you create your own kind of alliance to kind of shield you from that person. Now, what you've noticed, who have I not mentioned going to yet?
HR.
I've not mentioned HR yet. I have not mentioned HR. You really don't want to go to HR unless you've done all the other things. Have the direct conversation with the coworker, talk to your boss, because when you go to HR, they're going to say, hey, did you talk to this person? Because they just don't want to be the venting place. And then they're going to say, well, did you tell your boss? They're going to ask you those questions. If you say no, well, you've just lost a ton of credibility. It's not going to be good. If you say yes, then HR's then going to say, all right, well, let's talk about it. And you're going to need to be able to use proper HR language, like hostile work environment or bullying behavior to get them to do something. Okay, Whitney, I see we're getting close to the break.
We probably need one. That was intense.
Well, I feel pretty good.
I think she was thinking.
So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take on a question from one of our listeners on this same very topic. So they're going to offer one of their own issues and situations on dealing with a coworker, and we're going to see if we can tackle that. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Right job plus the right culture plus the right boss equals workplace happiness. The number one reason people leave jobs is problems with their boss. A horrible boss can make us dread every Monday, but an amazing boss can make us so excited to work that we'd go in on weekends. Finding your perfect boss is not only possible, it's one of the most impactful steps you can take in crafting your perfect career. Visit theworkplacetherapist.com and click on guides to learn how to find and get your perfect boss, whether that means making the decision to move on or turning your current boss into the perfect leader you want them to be. Our bosses have so much influence over our work and our whole day. Working for the right boss alone can be a winning career strategy.
Welcome back to the Brandon Smith Show. I am your host, Brandon Smith, and today is one of our leadership therapy days, and we have been talking, me and my lovely co-producer. See, Whitney, I don't always throw you shade. Lovely co-producer, Whitney Mendoza. We have been talking about dysfunctional coworkers, because we can all relate to dysfunctional coworkers. And we've talked about some different types, and now you got a question from a listener on this. All right.
A
Hit us.
listener after my own heart. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're geeky and nerdy?
Probably.
Yeah.
I won't say that, but probably. They're productive.
Overly organized?
If being productive is geeky and nerdy, then I don't want to be right.
Okay. Okay. I said wrong.
Here it
Oh,
is.
goodness.
Okay.
Here we go.
I have a coworker who is very unproductive.
Okay.
This person wastes their day socializing and surfing the internet. We do the same job on the same project. I have voiced my concern to the boss, but nothing has changed. It's very frustrating seeing this person sit every day and collect a paycheck and do nothing. What should I do?
Okay. Okay. This is an interesting question. It's interesting for a couple of reasons. First, it's interesting because let's take the coworker out of this for a second. So in some ways, this is this own person's problem. It's their own issues. They have a certain set of expectations on how they want other people around them to work. I'm not saying those are wrong, but that's really what's going on here. So a little bit of leadership therapy for that person would be helpful to say, okay, to what degree are your expectations fair and rational or not rational? So if I was sitting down with this listener, my first question to her or him would be, okay, do you always feel this way with all your coworkers? If the answer was yes, then this is their issue, not the coworker's issue. Oh, you're smiling like this is you. Were you the one who wrote this in?
I was just going to say, I promise I didn't
This
write
is really
question.
Whitney. Okay, so we're going to refer to this as a quote-unquote listener.
I promise I didn't write this.
So for
I could
our
have.
listener, listener, do you always feel this way with all your coworkers? If so, this is your issue, and then you have to either learn how to overcome that, or don't overcome it and just don't work with others. Work remotely by yourself. You can do a lot of wonderful either contract work or virtual work, so you're not right next to others if you have that expectation. Okay. So the first part is, what's my role in all this? Okay. The second part of this is, okay, now let's talk about this person, this coworker, because we have all met people that are underperformers, and they use their charm to kind of get away with that. And maybe that's what's going on here. So then I would sit down and ask yourself this question. Okay, let's assume this person is underperforming. To what degree is that underperformance affecting my work? So that's our next question. All right, so this person over here is doing this stuff. To what degree is it impacting me and my quality of work or my performance? If the answer is, and this is an important question, if the answer is 0, okay, so they're not working hard, but it doesn't really impact me or my quality of work, then you can't go to the boss complaining.
Right.
Because you can only go to the boss complaining if you say to the boss, hey boss, this person, their behavior or performance is causing me to not be able to deliver and meet your expectations. It's out of my hands because they're causing issues. Then your boss has a reason to do something. But if you're just saying, I don't like the way she works over there, your boss isn't going to respond positively to that. Now, if the answer is, so again, we're almost all going down these little check marks. First, we said, what's my role in this? If the answer is, it's really not me, it's them. Okay, then what role do they play in terms of their ability to impact me and my work? If the answer is yes, then you have a couple options. One, you can go to that person and say, hey, I totally get we have different work styles, and I would encourage this conversation. And you can have this healthy conversation. Go to that person and say, hey, I totally get we have different work styles. And that's totally okay. And I'm not expecting you to be like me, because that's fair. We can't expect other people to be like us. We're all made different. But here's the challenge. The way you're working, it's causing me to not be able to do what I need to get done. So let's see if we can find a solution that's not going to negatively impact you, but also not negatively impact me. And just have a healthy conversation about that. And you'll need to give the person examples. So maybe it's, hey, when I did this project last week and I remember I needed this information and you didn't respond to me for 4 days. And then when I finally got it, it was too late. Is there some other way I could communicate with you to get it earlier? So I think you want to start there and have that conversation. And then if that doesn't go well, then you can go to the boss. Because the boss is going to ask you, just like HR, they're going to say, hey, so did you talk to her? Did you talk to him? And if you say, well, no, then they're going to say, well, you're just coming and complaining to me. I know some bosses, not many do this, but I actually think most bosses should. They have a sign outside their door where they have all the criteria for coming to talk to them. So it's like if you're going to come and complain about a coworker, you need to have done X, Y, and Z first before we talk about it. They have those kind of conversations. So those would be my steps. I would say start by looking in the mirror. Second, is this person's role really impacting my performance, or is it just irritating? And then third, have a direct conversation with that person. All right. So do you think I missed anything? What do you think, Whitney?
You answered the listener's question. You answered every
Are you
point,
happy with the response I gave you? I mean, for our listener? Sorry, I don't.
Seems like a
quote,
pretty,
quote, listener.
Seems like a pretty fair step-by-step process. Okay. How about this then? Say you've done all these steps. And
You're giving me like a part B to this.
Yes.
Okay, go.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So, totally sidetracked me. Say you've gone through all these steps. You take it to your boss. What should the boss do? What will the boss do?
Oh. Okay. Hold on now. If you were listening real closely, she just said two different things. What should the boss do? What will the boss do?
Oh, okay.
Those are two very separate things. What should the boss do? So what the boss should do is the boss should say, okay, I totally get it. You've talked to this person. This person's performance is impacting yours. I'm going to call this person into my office this week, and we're going to talk about it. And be prepared, because the boss might also do this. And I want you there.
I was going to ask.
So we're going to have a three-way conversation. I'm going to facilitate and get this person to understand what he or she's doing, how it's impacting you, and then we're going to mutually find an agreement. And I'm going to hold this person accountable, because that's my job, because I'm the boss. And that's really what bosses are about. It's not only about expectations and goals, but it's also accountability. Okay, now, what will the boss do? Not that. They won't do that. They'll say, 80% of the time, this is what a boss is going to say. Oh, this sounds like an issue. You know what? I'm going to talk to her about that. And then they won't. That's what will happen. And then you'll come back a month later and say, well, did you talk to her about that? And he'll say, yeah, we're working on that. And you'll come back another month later and they'll say, yeah, I'm working on that. And then the next time you ask, they're going to avoid the question. Because a lot of bosses don't like that direct conflict and the accountability part of their role. And so that person will continue to hang around and underperform until either they leave or you leave. That's unfortunately the reality. Most bosses are going to take it that way. Wow. I know I'm being a little cynical today, but that's been my experience. Most bosses really don't step up and have the tough conversations in the way and in the timeliness that they should. So if you're a manager, don't be that kind of boss. Don't be afraid to have that conversation. Because what will happen is your A players will value you more, and they'll stick around. Because of that dysfunction I just listed around that boss, what do you think that's going to cost the boss? What do you think will happen? Well, what are you going to, what would a person like you in that situation do?
I think you would feel the pressure to leave. Because if you are coming from the standpoint of you're waiting, like say, okay, Susie has to do her piece before I can do my piece. And that does affect my job. And if I talk with Susie and that doesn't go anywhere, and I go to the boss and that doesn't go anywhere, then I'm not really able to do my job. But I think my attention would move from Susie to the boss, because I would, hey, I'm here, I'm working really hard, I'm dedicated, I'm trying to do my piece, but I can't do my piece if I'm waiting on someone else.
You would get frustrated. You'd be held back.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about our best players or high performers, so imagine everybody in your office as race cars or cars in general. Well, our A players are going to be like Maseratis or Corvettes or Porsches. I mean, they like to go fast. Our C players, like we're talking about here, I don't want to bash any cars. We'll be a Honda Accord.
I was going to say something, but
I don't know, Prius maybe.
I won't.
They just like to kind of cruise along, right? And so what you're doing is you're causing those Maseratis or Porsches that are wired to go fast, which we need those, you're forcing them to slow down. And that's going to be frustrating. It's going to be against their natural nature. So you're going to lose those high performers. They're going to leave. That's the cost of not holding underperformers accountable. And that's why we don't want to operate that way. It's really, really hard. So what you can also do, now that we're just talking about this, you can say to your boss, hey, you can have an open, honest conversation. Hey, this is a really big deal. I'm not going to be able to stick around if this continues, because this is not allowing me to perform at the level that I expect for myself and that you expect of me. So I need to know when you have this conversation with her or him, so I can be able to tell you and give you feedback if they're changing or not. So you can almost hold your boss accountable. That's an awkward conversation, but a healthy one. It's an important one. Okay, what do you think? Anything we haven't talked today about this that we should have? Are you feeling a little bit better?
You done good.
Oh, I've done good.
You done
Yes. Yes. I always go for a little bit of that if I can do it. Doesn't always happen, folks. Speaking of doing good and not doing good, we've come to that portion of the show where I have to close the show. And for all our regular listeners out there, if there's any time Brandon's going to butcher the show, it's going to be the close.
I only messed up the question that one time.
You did only once. Only once. Oh, she just threw me shade. Shade. Not cool. And you're getting me all messed up right before the close. Well, so for all of you listening today and viewing the show, thank you for keeping up the fight against dysfunction, not only in our workplace, but our personal life. And continue the fight by following us on social media. You can follow us at Twitter at the WP Therapist, WP for workplace, the WP Therapist, or of course Facebook, facebook.com/Brandon Smith WPT for workplace therapist. And as you know, our show airs every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. So stay tuned to our next show. And until then, have an awesome week and an awesome life. I'm Brandon Smith, and I'm the workplace therapist. My entire purpose and passion in life is one singular thing, and that's to help you live a life free from dysfunction. And let's be honest, folks, dysfunction is everywhere. Our bosses, our coworkers, our neighbors, even that grumpy barista that pours your coffee. And sometimes, that dysfunction stares back at us in the face when we're getting ready in the mornings and we see ourselves in the mirror. Well, at the end of the day, life and work should not have to suck. The purpose of this show is to help you overcome those roadblocks in your life to help you realize the life you've always wanted.